Lot number 16 is a story called In Arabian Nights. It's actually the first part of a small book that I've written with that same title. And along with it is a 3-volume set of the most beautiful Arabian Nights that I can remember seeing from the 19th century. Please note, one of the covers is coming off one of the volumes, but it is a monumental edition, and it is something that I myself have owned and treasured for many, many years, and I'm passing it on because in our family we have this tradition of only being custodians of stories and books, and we feel very strongly that with time, once one has enjoyed a book or a story or a storybook for a long while, the only right thing to do is to pass it on. So thank you for your generosity.
The Arabian Nights Adventures. Overcome with rage, the monarch leapt up. Hands clapping like cymbals, he bellowed at the top of his lungs for the royal guard. Crossing the room, he raised his fist to strike his bride, Scheherazade. But as he swung in her direction, the grains of sand in the hourglass froze. Down in the city below, nothing moved. The world paused, freeze-frame. In the tea houses, customers sat mid-conversation, rigid like statues. In their homes, families were motionless. Above the streets, birds hung in the night air as though time had come to an end. In the king's private apartment, the shadow of the Blue Witch roamed across the wall, approaching Scheherazade, who was frozen as all the rest. She admonished the monarch for forcing such sorrow on his people. Then, whispering a spell, she cast a fistful of powdered antimony at the fire. An explosion of light tore through the royal apartment. Time and space were shunted on their axes, the silken walls melting into parched wilderness. A sun hung like a great golden orb above an infinite desert. At the center of the wasteland lay a secret caravanserai, a jumbled mess of tents plagued by flies, heat, and death. On the northerly horizon, a dot was moving fitfully, like a flea vaulting about on a donkey's back. Gradually, it could be seen as what it was, a traveler riding a horse full tilt, as though his life depended on a message getting through. Every few strides, his steed would buck and rear, and all too often he would be thrown off, having to lure the poor creature back to him and clamber on once again. Due south of the encampment, a short, stout man was running through the sands, clothing shredded, his face a raw mask of desperation. As the sun slipped to the edge of the earth, the two travelers reached the caravanserai and made their way to the one and only tea house, with coarse carpets laid around it. At the precise instant the two travelers arrived, the sound of a colossal bird high above drowned the clamor of despondent camels. Peering up into the last strains of dusk, the travelers watched as a young man tumbled from the clutches of a rock. He bounced onto the canopy of a goat-hair tent and was thrown on the carpets laid outside the tea house, landing between the other two travelers. That was close, the young man said, checking himself for injuries. What magic caused you to be up there in the heavens? The stout traveler said in awe. Hitching a ride, that's all. From where? From way over there across the desert. Only a madman would attempt it on foot. I came by horse, the other traveler stated arrogantly. So I saw. You kept falling off. Recoiling in annoyance, the haughty traveler scowled. That's because I'm a sailor, and the desert I navigate is the ocean. The stout traveler pulled a scroll from his robe. I was ordered to come to this far-flung fragment of torment at this exact day and time. The sailor flinched. So was I, he said, pulling a scroll from his saddlebag. And I, said the young man, who tumbled from the sky. With no explanation why, the three travelers realized they'd each been ordered to arrive by dusk on the appointed day. The traveler who'd come on foot explained that curiosity had brought him here. The sailor echoed the reasoning. The young man shrugged. Well, I'm afraid to reveal why I came, he said. Whoever wrote the message said they would turn me into the royal guard for a certain misdemeanor. Just then, a woman's voice spoke from the gathering darkness. Each one of you has been summoned here for the same reason, although your reasons for agreeing to come differ. Curiosity, said the first. Exactly the same, intoned the second. Nonsense, said the voice. Sindbad, the sailor, you came because I threatened to reveal your darkest secret to the Emperor of Cathay. And Ali Baba, you are here because I threatened to expose your secret to a certain sovereign, the one who's blind in the left eye. As for you, Aladdin, the list of your misdemeanors is so long, there isn't a judge for 1,000 horizons who wouldn't lock you up as soon as... Look at you. The three travelers squinted into the approaching night, trying to make out where the voice was coming from. It's a phantom, said Sindbad. It's a jinn, whispered Ali Baba. It's a woman, hissed Aladdin. Two of you are wrong, said the voice, and one is right. The sound of someone clearing their throat caused the three travelers to turn. Silhouetted against the campfire was the outline of a woman. Hello, Sindbad, Ali Baba, and Aladdin, she said. Consider yourselves introduced. Who are you? The sailor shot back. I'm Scheherazade, she said.